Hi everyone, welcome to ArtChess on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about the Nimzovich Defense. It's a very unusual defense that will teach you a lot of things that you can use in your future chess career. One of them is it will teach you how important it is to develop your pieces quickly. And secondly, it will also allow you to practice on how to set up tactics and sense if there are any sorts of mating nets in position. So these are the things that I like about the Nimzovich. Nimzovich starts out with the move e4. But since this is only the introduction, we're going to just look at the possibilities or just an intro on what White could possibly play against the Nimzovich. And the Nimzovich starts out with the move knight c6. Very unusual move. It looks like it's not a good move because White or Black is not controlling or trying to fight up for the center, but that is actually completely untrue because the move knight c6 controls the square d4 and also the square e5. Okay, so the main idea behind knight c6 is, since the basic principle of chess is to control and maintain the center immediately at the beginning, Black is already hoping that White would do that exact thing. Why? This is why. Because after White goes d4 in this position, Black can immediately challenge the move d4 with d5. So the idea behind d5 is that if White captures on d5 now, Black's going to be able to recapture back with the queen. And take a look at that. Black already has two very strong developed pieces that's putting pressure towards the d4 pawn. So that's one of the good things about Nimzo. It gives you an advantage when it comes to development. But of course, White is not forced to capture on d5. This is one of my favorite lines when I'm playing the Black side. When my opponent captures the pawn, it's a lot of fun to play for the Black side. The other options for White, besides taking the pawn, he can also, of course, advance the pawn to e5, which we will be looking at in one of our future videos on ArtChess about the Nimzovich. And the idea of e5, it's probably a more solid way of facing the Nimzo because you're not allowing your opponent to get what he wants. Just close the center, don't allow him to give White the pressure on the center and gain more center on the middle, so Black will be a little bit clamped down. But it's entirely untrue because Black can easily create a lot of counterplay after e5. So this is the second variation that we're going to be looking at after e takes d5. The next one is, of course, knight c3, which has been played many times on the internet. It's quite common, and a lot of people employ knight c3. And the idea is not really to just protect the pawn in e4, but at the same time, he wants Black to play e6 or d takes e4 so he can push the pawn to d5 and gain more space in the center. Okay, so these are the alternatives that we're going to be looking at, or the lines that we're going to be looking at if White plays d4 on the second move. Of course, White is not forced to play d4 on the second move. In our other videos, we're also going to be looking at knight f3 as the second move. Of course, the ones who learn how to play the Ray Lopez would most likely play knight f3 so that if Black plays e5 here, they can easily transpose back after bishop e5. But at the same time, this is what you call anti-knight c6, because if Black plays d5 now, he takes on d5, queen takes d5. The main point of knight f3 is at least Black doesn't have any pressure towards the d4 pawn anymore. But it's not a big deal. We have plenty of ways of how we're going to deal with knight f3, despite him getting the ability to develop more pieces with a tempo. So anyways, okay, moving back. Next one, and probably the last one, excuse me, the last one that we're going to be looking at is the move knight c3. In one of our videos, we're going to be looking at knight c3. And the whole idea of knight c3 is just to completely prevent black from being able to play d5 and take out the queen, so black is not going to be able to produce any sorts of pressure or problems for white at the beginning. Maybe the most solid way to face against it, but if you're not a knight c3 player against e4, e5, that might be a problem, because black can easily transpose to e5. But we're going to recommend something completely separate from e5, or the king's pawn openings. Anyways, this is just an introductory video, so we can understand, or we can know what to expect from the next following videos on the Nimzovich. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the first video on the Nimzovich. Have a good day. Bye bye.